What's going on, guys? It's Bandit FX, and in this video I'm going to be covering higher to lower time frame correlation. Most of the examples that I'm going to be covering are the daily and 4-hour examples, but this can be applied to anything. It's just a way to break down higher time frame candles to get a better picture of what happened in those candles. So we're taking a look at pound USD right here on the daily time frame, and I just want to show you guys how to actually break it down first, and then we'll cover different ways that these candles can actually form and what you can actually benefit from doing this. So what I like to do first is whichever daily candle I'm looking at, the way that I like to go about it, let's say we're looking at this last daily candle, right? You just take a vertical line on TradingView and you put a line right through it. Now, the candle, once you break it down to the 4-hour time frame, the candle that it lands on and then the next 5 candles, that is that complete day. Because one day is made of 6 4-hour candles. So from here, including the candle that the line is on the 4-hour time frame, and then the next 5 candles, those are the candles that make up that day. So to give you an idea of what you guys can do is, after that, just take a box and do this. So to give you an idea, that is the day. That's what happened through that entire day. That's where price went, and this is how it moved. So overall, you can see that we formed a support. Even though we made a lower low, we formed a support. We came up and broke the highs here. Although taking a look at the daily time frame, we did close lower than the previous bearish candle. But when you break it down to the 4-hour, you can clearly identify that, hey, we're starting to come up here. We did have a nice upper wick here form, not really a rejection. This is still a very strong bullish candle, and we closed above the previous resistance right here and right here. So this is a very, very bullish sign. Obviously, you're not going to always get a benefit from doing this. Not every candle is going to tell you a story that, can change your perspective on something. Like in this example, it did a little bit, although, you could really just tell by looking at the daily time frame and seeing that this candle basically corrected the entire move of the previous day. What I like to use these for more specifically is, Doji candles, because Doji candles, it just looks like price move sideways, and with a day, that's pretty tough to be able to, you know, just say that price move sideways for a full day. Like it still had these big swings, like if you want to measure the top to the bottom of this Doji candle, we're talking a 55 pip move during that day. I'm measuring this Doji, by the way. 55 pip move, throughout that day. So it's not like nothing happened during that day. Oh, this just happened to be Sunday, actually. We go from the 11th to the 14th. So I'm going to pick a different Doji to do this with. We're going to pick this one right here. So once again, I'm going to measure it. Let's take a look, see how big this Doji candle is. About 65 pips, Wow, I did it again. 21st to 24th. Jeez. Apparently every Sunday's a Doji. Let's see. 28th again. All right, 29th to 30th. We're going to use this one right here. This is a Doji candle. Bearish candle. Slightly bearish close, but let's see if we can find out, maybe there's a direction that this could be headed. Because if you guys know, a Doji candle almost acts as a support sometimes, especially when you have a morning star forming or, in the opposite scenario, an evening star forming. So let's take a look at the 4-hour time frame here and see what happened throughout those 6 candles. So I'm going to take my box, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, go to the bottom, the absolute low, and then the high. Give you an idea. Okay, this is where price went during that day. So let's see what happened. The day opened here. We had this nice push up, but taking a look at the previous swing, let me just draw this out. This was the previous swing high up here, So we're not breaking any highs. We're not breaking any structure. The most recent resistance level was right here, which we actually rejected during that day. You know, we didn't break the high. We didn't have a 4-hour candle close above this and then form a higher support. Um, what ended up happening is price came up, rejected this previous support resistance level, and then continued back down. This is a very, very weak bullish candle here, and then we continued to break the low before the day closed. Um, I'm sorry, wait a minute. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, right here. My bad. So now that we have the full picture here, you know, price came down and then still, you know, even though we had this pullback right here to the upside, we still closed below the most recent support, which is right here at this level. So, um, trying to determine, you know, what type of doji this is, where might price be headed. Um, there's no confirmation on a lower time frame, you know, on the 4-hour time frame that hey, this pair may be headed back up. You know, there's no confirmation that we're going to have that morning star form. You know, we're not going to have that doji and then break the high because taking a look at price right here of where it closed, you know, based on this day alone, you know, we're still closing underneath the previous support. We're rejecting it. We haven't, you know, we have a little bit of an upper wick here, but we couldn't close above it. And the fact that we couldn't close above it just shows that, you know, there still is a valid resistance here and price can move down. So, um, in a different scenario where you'd be able to see a doji, you know, you'll see a low form here, and then maybe price came up and formed a higher low. You know what I mean? And then we can expect price to continue up in the next candle. I'm going to show you guys basically on Google Images right here what I mean by the two different scenarios and what I'm talking about as far as breaking down a daily candle or any higher time frame candle into smaller segments to get the better overall picture because um, every candle has its own trend or its own pattern that it went through during that day. So taking a look at this right here, where is it? Okay, right here. Taking a look at this image right here, we can say that two things could have happened here. Because this is a bearish candle, assuming this is the daily candle, we have 6 4-hour candles in this time frame. The candle opened here in both scenarios. However, taking a look at, you know, the scenario on the left here, the main swing within the candle is bearish. So we had that upper wick form, a strong impulse move to the downside, and then the correction before the candle close. However, this candle shows a different story, even though it is still bearish. Assuming that this was a previous high on a different day, or just like the overall trend, like if you're looking at the 4-hour trend and you're seeing that price is coming up here, right? And the day started um, right here where the candle opened, we came down, pushed up another impulse move, and then it came back down. If you measure this out, this is actually a 618 retracement. So the next candle could be completely bullish and continue the trend upwards. This is why it's very, very important to be able to break down higher time frame candles because they do tell different stories, and not always just because the candle is bearish does that mean that the overall movement during that time frame was bearish. Yes, the open and the close were different, but when you're dealing with such a big time frame like the daily or the weekly, um, you know, you don't always get the overall picture because a lot happened in that single candle. So let's take another look at another example and see if I can um, identify one of these scenarios where, you know, price may have looked bearish but wasn't really bearish. So let's see. Hold up. Let's move backwards a little bit. Okay, let's look at this candle right here. You know, assuming, hey, there may be a resistance, right? So let's look at the 4-hour time frame. One, two, three, four, five, six. So, I mean, this candle really doesn't tell you much. You know, this candle really doesn't tell you much because price was kind of choppy throughout the whole day. But we're just gonna look at it as an example, anyways. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. So this was the low, the high, and where the candle ended. All right. Now let me get rid of this line. Again, that's this bearish candle. So you could see overall, I mean, obviously it's not going to be picture perfect, but in this scenario, what happened with price is we had price open right here, right? We had that first top wick being made to the upside, and then price came back down and then closed up. So what we have here, I don't know why on TradingView it draws like this, but we had this type of move in that candle. So this was a bearish scenario, even though the price continued up after. The beginning of the next day was bearish. So that's kind of the importance of doing this, is just being able to break it down. And not always are you going to be able to break it down, but it's a good thing to know or to be able to do, because that 20% of the time when you have to break down a candle, like on a daily time frame, and to get the overall picture, sometimes it's going to tell you something that you may have not already seen. I mean, especially if you're a swing trader, like trading really, really high time frames like this. But um, yeah, like this doji right here. Let's break down this doji and see what happened. Looking at the 4-hour time frame. One, two, three, four, five, six. Okay. So right here, we have a bullish doji form, but trying to figure out where price is going to go. If you take a look at it, um, let's break it down. We actually have a lower high being made and a lower low being made. So this is a confirmation that price is going to head down at least for the the next day or so, instead of continuing up. And it gives you a better idea because the picture is already painted in that doji. Otherwise, you'd have to wait for a candle high to break or a candle low to break. You already kind of know which direction we're gonna be heading in. So I'm gonna do this again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so these candles right here. Let's zoom this in for you guys. All right, so price essentially opened right here on this green candle. We had an impulse move up. We came down, we had a close. Now this close is lower than the support here. So, at this time, we have a support, obviously. When candles came down, price came down and had this close below, we tried to come up, basically back into the range. But what ended up happening here is, let's draw this resistance out so you guys could see it. What ended up happening here is we formed another resistance right before the day close. Now, at this doji in this point in time, we are back in the range from the previous day. However, for a fact, or you have a pretty good idea that once price breaks this candle's low and continues down, price is going to continue down. More often than not, price is going to continue down. And the reason for that being is because we had a high formed, right? And then we had candles start to trend bullish. They're all making lower lows. They're all making lower highs. They're all making lower closes. We have a bullish candle form. Now, although it is a bullish candle, it still made a lower high, and it did not close above the open of the previous bearish candle. So this is not showing any sort of change in direction. This is just a retest. Now, I'm going to break it down to the 1-hour time frame and see if we can get a little bit more of detail going on here so we could see what happened. Bear with me. It's going to be hard to find that candle. But, okay, right here. Perfect. Absolutely perfect. Okay. So, as you can see, price opened here. We had this push up. We had a low formed. Like now, this is what you're not able to see on the 4-hour time frame. You're breaking it down even further. We had a low form. Now we have a lower high form on the 1-hour time frame, and then price broke down. So now there's a clear shift in change of direction once this happens. Granted, this is a very, very big bullish candle, but obviously higher time frames always rule. That's kind of the general term or the general knowledge that higher time frames typically have more jurisdiction in where price is going to go. Um, so taking a look at this, even though we do have this big bullish candle that broke the high of the last three previous bearish candles on the 1-hour time frame, taking a look at the 4-hour, we know it didn't break the 4-hour high. So if it doesn't break the 4-hour high, there still isn't a clear change in direction. And then before the day closes, we have a bearish candle form and then 2 weak bullish candles. Now, on the 1-hour time frame, we have a support formed right here. So looking at the 1-hour time frame, we have that support formed right here, like we were talking about earlier. And price retested the bottom of this range, or this previous support right here, and then started breaking the lows. Now, what did we say before about this 4-hour candle? Once we broke the lows, we were pretty confident that price should continue in that direction. So now that we're back on the 4-hour time frame, you know, that low, I'm going to move this over. The low is right here, so we could see what happened. You know, I'm just breaking this down a little bit more for you guys so you can see what happened here when price started to come down. So let's go back to the 1-hour time frame. Now we know the beginning of that 4-hour candle, where it happened. Whoops. Okay. So the day closed right here. Or this was the low. I'm sorry, this was the low. So right here, you know we have sells because you could take sells. You have two options, right? You have that bullish, that big bullish candle form, the bearish candle, two bullish candles. Once we break the low and close below this support, that's your confirmation for sells, number one. And number two, you get another confirmation for sells after we break the 4-hour low, which is right here. So once price broke below this level, that's your confirmation for sells. And what did we end up getting? We ended up getting this huge, massive sell-off, a retest of that same level, and then a continuation down. And the reason that it happens like that, let's go back to the daily time frame. You know, the reason that it happens like that is like take a look at what's happening. This is where the doji closed, right? We got that retest, price pushed down a little bit, and then we ended up getting, you know, the overall retest. So you got to remember, like, how is the daily candle forming, right? That's something you guys got to look at, is how is the daily candle forming. So let's break it down to the 4-hour again. Because remember, this is the end of the doji. You know, this is the end of that doji that's forming. This is, you know, where the candle closed. So we had this tiny little upper wick on the 4-hour form, which was that retest, and then price absolutely melted. So that was this right here. That tiny little wick on the next daily candle is this. It's this movement. So not only are you breaking the 4-hour low, but now you're starting to show an overall direction of where we're going to be headed on the daily time frame. As soon as we break the daily low, I mean, that's also another confirmation for sells. However, keep in mind, you know, price had already moved so far. And this is why looking at lower time frames is so important, and being able to correlate them is so important. Normally, just looking at the daily time frame, you get the break of the low or the high of the previous candle. Okay, it's either a sell or a buy, right? So we break the low. We had a doji, broke the low. That's confirmation for a sell normally. However, taking a look at this, we just had price move, you know, trend downwards for so long, right? Price trended downwards for so long, and now we're coming into a massive support where price rejected extremely hard. You know, normally a doji looks like sideways movement, but in this case, we were able to identify that this doji, this daily doji in this case, was not sideways movement. So I'm going to draw this a little bit better here. I don't know if this is the way to do it. Nope. That's not the way to do it. So a doji could be formed like this, right? Oops. Assuming that this is the start. So this is how a normal doji or a consolidation could form, right? This candle and this candle will look the exact same. Price opened and closed in the same area, did all of this in between, right? So that's going to look identical to what this doji candle looked like on the daily time frame, assuming that this made up one day and was a daily candle as well, broken down on the 4-hour time frame. So the importance of this video and the importance of understanding this is to be able to identify the difference between when this happens and when this happens. Because when you get a daily doji like this, price is in a consolidation, is moving completely sideways. Once you get a break of that low, that's a confirmation for sells right there. And the reason that it's a confirmation for sells is because you had a support that was broken. Now you're going to get the retest and a continuation down. But in this case, that didn't happen. This wasn't just a consolidation. This was a trend reversal. Trend was changing right here. We had a low formed, a high formed, and then we made a lower high and then broke the lows. This was the retest and the continuation down, but we still have this support here. We still have the support here that's formed. So you can't just take a sell based off of that. Whereas in a consolidation, if price was moving completely sideways the whole time and you get that break, that's your confirmation. But it's different in this scenario because it wasn't a consolidation. It was a reversal of trend. So got to keep in mind that we're starting to trend downwards, meaning after such a move to the downside, we can have a pullback to retest the previous level. Because taking a look at this consolidation over here to the left. When we broke below this level, we never retested the bottom of this range. Price came up, and then once we broke down, there was no retest. So, looking at it right here, I'm going to get rid of some of this to make it a little bit cleaner. Price broke down, we never retested the bottom of this range. So as price moves down during this time, you're thinking in the back of your head, price can retest the bottom of this range because it never did. The retest that we got when price moved up here was up in this level. We got a retest up here, but we never got a retest down here. And that's important to be able to break down the time frames like that. Because the way the candles form and the ability to be able to break them down and understand the movements on lower time frames is so beneficial to you. You have no idea. You'll be able to spot a move before it happens. And the importance of that is not necessarily to be able to anticipate which way price is going to be able to go. It's, look at it from a risk management perspective. Having taken sells right here on a daily time frame, you're taking a larger swing trade, right? Like you have this massive stop loss. You're going to have this massive stop loss. Whereas if you understand the lower time frames and you could break them down and understand that we may retest this level, you're patient. You can wait. Because this really isn't a close below this level. Not to mention, we're on a significant level down here as well. Hold on. We're on this significant level right here. Price rejected this area multiple times. So now it's being used as support. Last time it came down here, it rejected it super hard. So why would there just be a clean break after such a hard push down? Buyers have to come in at some point. When are they going to come in? At a strong level. So they came in, we got the consolidation, the retest. Once price broke back down, that was our confirmation. That was our confirmation for sells. This retest right here. So I hope this video helped, guys. Let me know your thoughts. Please leave a like, leave a comment, and if you haven't already, please subscribe. I do have a free Discord. The Bandit FX Discord is in the description. Just click the link, accept the invite if you guys are interested in joining. We do live streams every New York session from 6:30 a.m. Eastern to 9 a.m. Eastern every single day, and I try to break down as many sessions as possible and post them in there as well. So have a good one, guys, and I really hope this helped.